My girlfriend is a big name in academia and successfully developed a kind of amnesia drug. Her career is thriving, and we were about to get married. But her childhood friend suddenly got cancer and only had 1 month to live. To fulfill his last wish, she forced me to drink the amnesia potion so I would forget her for a month. Within a month, she accompanied her childhood sweetheart in holding the wedding and their honeymoon. A month later, she knelt downstairs, crying as she asked me, "You clearly lost your memory for only a month, so why did you forget me forever?" Sophia's first love, Daniel, returned to the country. She casually poured a glass of red wine and handed it to me. "Daniel has cancer. He only has 1 month left, and he wants me to accompany him through his final journey." She looked calm, showing no sign of disturbance. I asked, puzzled, "At a time like this, you should be looking for your parents. Why come to you?" Daniel was her childhood friend. Sophia had said that even after a breakup, they would still be family. "I used to be very jealous of Daniel, but we're getting married in a few days." Sophia lowered her head, avoiding my gaze. "Mr. and Mrs. Carter died in a car accident recently, leaving him all alone." "You sympathize with him," I said, picking up on her mood. "Just a pity." She shrugged, nuzzled my cheek in a placating way, and changed the subject. "Nervous? You're about to be my groom." Puffed. I rolled my eyes at her. "Then go keep Daniel company." She went serious. "Ethan Johnson, you are my only husband. I love you forever." Sophia is a reserved person who rarely says sweet things. Even when we first confessed our feelings, Sophia only arranged her EEG into a heart shape and shyly handed it to me. She never speaks love aloud, yet now she suddenly promised to love me forever. I held her in my arms and invited her to choose our reception photos with me. But Sophia just rubbed against me and said, "You pick. We're about to have the wedding. I have to go back to the lab to hand things over." Sophia went to change. She's always been good at managing her image, and I was completely captivated by her. But when she left a moment ago, her lipstick was applied unevenly. One earring seemed not to match the other. I frowned and said nothing. I went downstairs, hailed a car, and followed from a distance. I saw Sophia drive past the lab without stopping and head straight for the hospital. I didn't follow her further. She was probably going to see her childhood friend. In the early hours, Sophia finally came back. I didn't turn on the light, curled up on the sofa, staring at her without taking my eyes off her. She switched on the light, saw me sitting there waiting for her, froze for a moment, then walked slowly toward me. "You found out," she swallowed, sounding a little nervous. I nodded. After living together day and night for 5 years, we know each other too well. A sudden promise that doesn't match the right pair of earrings. These things showed she was guilty and flustered. And in Sophia's eyes, I'm a carefree guy. Sitting quietly in the dead of night like this is completely out of character for me. We both knew this wasn't normal. She leaned against me and sat down slowly, taking out a vial containing a potion and placing it in front of me. Daniel is pitiful. I watched him lying in bed with tubes all over him. Sophia's expression was open and honest. I promised his dad I'd take care of him. My heart seemed to plunge into icy cold, my hands and feet going numb. "So, you're going to keep him company for the last month of his life?" Then there was complete silence. After a while, Sophia hesitantly reached out and touched the vial in front of her. "What is this?" I stared into her eyes, my voice hoarse. She avoided my gaze and said softly, "Ethan, Daniel needs all of my companionship this month, but I know you won't agree to let me go. I hope that after I've stayed with Daniel, you'll still be my groom, so you just need to forget me temporarily. When I return, we'll go ahead with the wedding as planned." I realized, so this was the amnesia potion Sophia had newly developed. "You want me to forget you?" I was a bit stunned. My lover was going to devote herself entirely to another man. "No, Ethan, I don't want you to forget me forever, only for a month." Sophia's voice was still gentle, but what she said was so absurd. "After a month, I'll come back to you." I sat there dazed, the stinging in the corners of my eyes revealing my true feelings. 5 years, huh? I gave a self-mocking laugh. This is a newly developed drug. It hasn't even passed clinical trials. What if something goes wrong? What if I don't just forget you for a month? What if it harms my body? Sophia paused as she was about to pry the stopper open, but she hesitated only for a moment before resolutely continuing. With a pop, the cap came off. My serum will be fine. I'm the Federation's best neurologist. She brought the vial to my lips. In a month, I'll be back at your side. We'll get married. We'll be the happiest couple. I turned my head away. Why should I? This isn't a junkyard where you dump everything dirty and foul. This is blatant infidelity. If you go, don't come back. I'm not cheating. Sophia suddenly grew agitated. Daniel is so pitiful. Why would you say that about him? The woman I loved day and night had crossed a line to defend another man. Sophia took a deep breath and raised the test tube. Ethan, in a month, everything will be fine. She suddenly stood up, produced a rope from who knows where, and tied my left wrist firmly to the sofa. With only one hand available, a man's strength advantage couldn't manifest. Sophia forcibly pried my jaw open, pinching the flesh of my cheeks so hard it pressed against my teeth. A cold glass vial was shoved into my mouth, and the bitter medicine slid into my mouth. During the violent actions, some of the liquid went down my windpipe, and I immediately started coughing violently. But Sophia didn't stop. She instead pressed harder to control me. I struggled desperately and kicked my foot hard in her lower abdomen. Sophia let out a muffled groan of pain, and her grip loosened for a moment. I seized the chance and tried to turn my head to spit the medicine out, but she grabbed my hair at once, pulled me back, and forced the drug into my mouth even harder. My tongue was scraped by the vial. Amid the bitter taste in my mouth, a large surge of metallic sweetness flooded in. It hurt so much. Tears involuntarily welled up, and through them, I couldn't see Sophia's expression clearly. As the vial ran dry, Sophia released me. I immediately stuck a finger down my throat to force myself to vomit. Stomach acid surged into my throat, but I couldn't bring it up. I felt somewhat suffocated and could only make huff-huff sounds. I trembled and covered my head. The intense pain struck my brain again and again, as if something was about to burst from my temples. Slowly, amid the severe pain, I began to lose consciousness. My limbs went limp and collapsed to the ground, my vision blurred, and I could faintly hear Sophia's gentle voice. Ethan, I really love you, but Daniel is dying soon, and no matter what, I have to accompany him through his final journey. Forget me for now. Forget. Sophia. Her voice grew fainter and more distant. I stumbled and fell onto the sofa, the last two words circling in my mind. Sophia. Ding, ding, ding. Hello. I was too sleepy to open my eyes, my head foggy. Ethan Johnson, what are you doing? It was Leo Martinez's voice, my best friend. I flew for 7 hours straight, came back just to be your best man, and I couldn't even get into the hotel. Also, the groom is Daniel. Who is that? What are you and Sophia doing? Are you kidding me? I snapped awake. Who's getting married? What's going on? Leo was even more shocked than I was. Isn't today the day you're marrying Sophia? I immediately retorted, who's Sophia? I've always been single, you know that. Bro, you two have been living together for 5 years, and your wedding photos are even hanging on your wall. Leo was speechless. I hurriedly climbed out of bed and searched the room. There was nothing, no sign of any woman in the whole place. The photos on the wall are just my own handsome pictures, I said helplessly. Even the bed is a single. How is that possible? Wait at home for me. I'm coming right over. Leo hung up the phone immediately. As soon as he walked in, Leo started scolding me, saying I was faking amnesia to scare him. But when he took in the room's arrangement, he froze too, muttering impossible over and over. I'll prove it to you. He suddenly remembered the photos he casually posted to his moments when he went with me and Sophia to take our wedding pictures. In the photo, I was wearing a haute couture suit, holding a delicate woman in a white wedding dress, and we were smiling so happily. A light bulb went off in my head. Leo, could I have a twin brother who was separated from me years ago? And it's my brother who's getting married, right? Leo was helpless. Did you have a falling out with her? I was a little agitated. You still don't believe me? I really don't know Sophia. Leo studied me, his expression gradually growing grave. You haven't actually lost your memory, have you? Have you hit your head recently? I shook my head. He quickly grabbed my phone to look for Sophia's number, only to find there wasn't one on my phone at all. He had to call her himself. The call connected, and a gentle, low voice came through. Hello? Leo demanded loudly. Sophia, what's going on between the two of you? Ethan says he doesn't know you, and you even married someone else? The woman's voice on the phone was silent for 2 seconds, then spoke awkwardly. May I ask, who is this? Leo was so angry he stood up and shouted, Sophia, what kind of plastic bag are you, able to hold so much? We've known each other for 5 or 6 years. Can't you tell it's me? It's a wrong number. She hadn't finished when a weak male voice came through the phone, accompanied by violent coughing. Sister, who is it? Sophia answered flustered. No one, wrong number. Before Leo could speak, the phone made a beeping sound and hung up. No, something's wrong. Leo stormed out angrily. He wanted to find out what was going on. Wait at home for my message. The door slammed shut with a bang. My feigned look of surprise gradually calmed. With Leo gone, I didn't have to act for the moment. I pulled a bitter smile. Sophia, aren't you the best neurologist? Isn't that drug supposed to be impossible to fail? So why do I still remember you? I looked around. While I was unconscious from the drug Sophia gave me, she had people come to the house and remove all traces of herself. The puzzle we put together, the poster we painted, even that photo wall, all gone without a single trace left behind. My chest tightened painfully, bitter tears seeping from the corners of my eyes. Sophia, you wanted me to give you a month to help a patient. Fine, I'll do as you asked. By the time Leo came back, I had already ordered a big box of beers and was watching a show while snacking. Hey Leo, want one? Ice cold beer. Leo pushed my hand away and shouted, You idiot! Still eating. That woman Sophia cheated on you. Glug glug. That coughing boy is her first love. He's also the groom at today's wedding. They say he has cancer. Crunch crunch. I handed over a piece of duck neck. So exciting. Do you want some duck neck? Eat. Leo opened his mouth and bit the duck neck, chewed, then realized, no, your fiancé has already cheated on you. Aren't you upset? Crunch, crunch. Wow, thrilling. I shoved another duck neck into my mouth. Cancer, first love, swapping grooms. All the K-drama elements are here. But I don't know her. Let her marry whoever she wants. Leo couldn't be bothered with me. I turned away, pretending to grab a tissue, taking the chance to control my expression. In my heart, I begged Leo to go and find out more. Come on, brother. Leo switched to gossip mode and dug up everything about Sophia. Leo protested angrily. Sophia is going on a honeymoon around Europe with her first love, and now everyone says Sophia is a pure love warrior. And you just let her go like that? I watched the TV without taking my eyes off it and answered, Of course I let her go. Why wouldn't I let a stranger go? Leo was speechless, but he kept prying into Sophia's situation. He bought the surveillance footage of Sophia's wedding from the hotel manager. At the wedding, Sophia and Daniel walked hand in hand through a dreamy, misty sea of flowers, pledged their love, and held each other tightly. Leo slammed the table in fury. He said those flowers were calla lily field, symbolizing unwavering love, something I'd spent half a month meticulously designing to achieve that stunning effect. Sitting on the sofa, he cursed Sophia. Is she crazy? You forget her, and she marries someone else that same day. Not even a gold miner could dig out such pure, godly gold. Seeing that scene at the wedding with my own eyes felt like being stabbed. I had imagined 1,000 times holding Sophia's hand and kissing her amid a sea of flowers. Now, both the flowers and the person were handed to someone else. I just shrugged. How romantic. The childhood friend with cancer is dying, and the devoted childhood sweetheart won't leave him. Leo kept asking for news. The latest was that Sophia took Daniel traveling to the ends of the earth in Wellston. I clapped excitedly. Wow, Romantic. I heard Wellston even has an Eden, Adam and Eve. Leo was furious at my heartlessness, but helpless, and never brought them up to me again. Because Sophia was about to go on a romantic tour of Europe with Daniel, and he couldn't find his Adam and Eve anymore. For a while after that, I heard nothing about them. At night, I tossed and turned, sleepless. I couldn't understand how Sophia could do this to me. We met and grew close when we were young. She gave me all her firsts. She had clearly said she would only love me in this life. Yet now she gave the wedding and the honeymoon that belonged to me to another man. Did what she gave away still contain love? Beep, beep, beep. A month later, I was working late at home when my phone suddenly flooded with messages, nearly crashing. I opened it to find it full of photos, hundreds of them continuously arriving. There was another message afterwards that read, "Thanks to brother Ethan for making this possible. The moment Sophia got off the plane, she rushed over to your place without stopping. I didn't even have time to develop the photos for her. So could you please help develop them and hand them over?" My throat tightened instantly, and I couldn't breathe. Those photos were like spotlights, glaring so brightly I couldn't open my eyes. My face went pale as I trembled, enlarging the pictures one by one. There were wedding shots, natural landscapes, and everyday snapshots. In every single photo, Sophia was leaning against a pale-faced young man's chest, without exception. The two of them looked like newlyweds, intimate and happy. There was especially a photo of the two of them inside, taken in a hotel. It was a themed hotel in an amusement park. In the picture, Sophia and Daniel were wearing silly hair clips and imitating the poses of the cartoon characters on the wall, posing together, playful and cute. And in the background, there was only one big bed. I clutched my chest. It hurt so much. I was too naive. So this is how she accompanied Daniel through his final journey. I collapsed onto the bed, powerless, my whole body ice cold. I had been standing there foolishly, waiting for Daniel to die, waiting for Sophia to come back and love me with all her heart. I was wrong. Sophia never loved me. If she could ignore the risk and let me drink the potion, she could not have loved me. Love would never be heedless and reckless. Just like with Daniel, in his last stretch of life, she did not act heedlessly. Back when Sophia emphasized to me that Daniel was very important, I should have understood. When she loved, I was the only thing that mattered. When she didn't, nothing would be less important than me. Sophia, I have always obeyed you. This time, if you want me to forget you, I will obey you as well. I don't know how much time had passed when, with a bang, the door was pushed open. Sophia appeared in front of me. She was breathing a little heavily, sweat soaking through her thin top. "What are you doing? How did you get in here?" I forced myself to shout loudly. "Ethan, I'm back." Sophia didn't even have time to change her shoes. She lunged at me and dove into my arms, full of a fresh lemon scent, my favorite perfume. I shoved her away and snapped sharply. "Get out. I'm calling the police." Anger, disgust, annoyance. In an instant, multiple emotions intertwined. Sophia froze when I shoved her, then immediately looked down at her watch and muttered, "Time's up. The drug should have worn off. Get out of my house right now." I pulled out my phone to call the police, and she suddenly stepped forward and snatched it from me. "Ethan, calm down. It's me, Sophia. I'm not a bad person. You just lost your memory and forgot me. You'll remember soon. Just wait 5 more minutes." She handed the phone back to me, and the moment I got it, I pressed the emergency call number to alert the police. "Ethan, why don't you believe me?" She looked hurt when she saw me call the police. "Ethan, don't blame me." She suddenly pulled a vial out of her pocket, broke the stopper, and forced its contents into my mouth. "What is this?" I wrenched away with my hand. In her panic, she crashed into the corner of the wall, instantly cutting her head and bleeding, but she still wouldn't let go. In her tugging, I swallowed most of the vial. I knelt on the floor, gagging, trying to spit it out. Blood ran down Sophia's temple, but her eyes were full of expectation as she looked at me. "Enough! Don't come near me." "I've called the police," I shouted. Seeing the shard of broken porcelain in my raised hand, she finally forced herself to calm down and took a step back, yet she persistently held out the vial. Her expression was shattered, and she begged me humbly for one more drink. "Please, Ethan, drink a little more. You'll remember me right away." She was frantic, her eyes rimmed red as she said, "Ethan, I don't know why this is happening, but we've been in love for 5 years and we're about to get married." "Shut up." I cut her off. "I know all that, but you already cheated on your first love, and now what are you pretending for?" No matter what, things between her and me were impossible. But Sophia kept babbling on, and I felt my head spin and gradually lost consciousness. Before I passed out, I saw expectation in Sophia's eyes. When I opened my eyes again, there was a pure white ceiling, the sharp smell of antiseptic, and Leo's voice. It turned out that the emergency call had been placed. The operator overheard the argument between Sophia and me and dispatched officers urgently. By the time the police arrived, I had already collapsed on the floor unconscious, and they sent me to the hospital to have my stomach pumped. This is infuriating. That woman Sophia is shameless. She actually gave you some mysterious stuff to drink. Leo shouted on the side. A nearby officer asked whether I was willing to settle, because pressing charges against Sophia would be difficult. She had lived here for 5 years and had used a key to enter this time, so it couldn't be proven she had illegally broken into the home. The substance she gave me, according to testing, contained no harmful components. On the contrary, it had many nutrients that promote neuronal growth and was actually a registered, clinically trialed memory recovery potion proven effective. If I sued her, it would be challenging and would require going through a lot of local procedures. But I don't want to stay here anymore. I don't want to see her again, and I don't want to live in that house full of pain. I happen to have an offer for an assistant professorship at Yunnan University, and I decided to accept it to get completely away from Sophia. I agreed to the police mediation. On the day of mediation, Sophia's eyes were hopeful again. "Ethan, do you remember me? I'm your fiancé. Because of an accident, our wedding was called off. I'm sorry, I was too anxious for you to remember me again." She hugged my waist hard, as if afraid of losing me. Before I could say anything, Leo started jumping up and down in anger, pointing at Sophia's nose and shouting insults. "An accident? An accident is..." The officer immediately stepped forward and interrupted us, pulling Sophia away and warning her not to approach me. Her voice choked with tears, full of grievance. "It's been a month already. The drug's effect has worn off. Why didn't you remember me?" I stared at her coldly. "I really don't know you. If you keep bothering me, I'll call the police." A shadow passed over Sophia's eyes. She left only one sentence. "Ethan, I will give you an even grander wedding." After she left, I felt a weight lift off me. Leo stood with his hands on his hips, still angry. That woman, eating from the pot while eyeing the basin and trying to drug you. Like some zombie scientist clutching a reagent bottle. I soothed Leo. "Forget it, Leo. Sophia is my fiancée, yet she ran off to honeymoon with someone else. That shows she's no good. Let's not waste any more time on her." Hearing me say that, Leo froze. "I'm just upset for you, Ethan. 5 years. I lied calmly. But I've forgotten all of it. Such terrible memories, it's better not to have them anyway." Since I hid my memory from the start, there was no need to let Leo know now. He nodded thoughtfully, bumped my palm, and we reached an agreement. "Let's go get some kebabs." After finishing the skewers and the drinks, we walked back shoulder to shoulder. But as we neared the apartment complex gate, Leo kept turning around repeatedly. I asked him what was wrong. He said he felt like someone was following us, but couldn't see them. I shivered in fright. "Please don't be something nasty," and immediately quickened my pace. I was stopped by Sophia just as I reached the neighborhood gate. Just as I thought, filth. She looked at me and let out a relieved breath. "Ethan, I finally found you. You weren't home and you didn't answer your phone. I was about to go crazy. Do you remember me? I'm your Sophia." Her tone was languid, as if speaking to a sulking child. A surge of unnamed anger rose in me. It had been only 12 hours since the mediation, and she was back, more tenacious than a fly. I took a step back. "Miss Taylor, I have nothing to do with you. I don't know you. Even if we were once engaged, We're not anymore. Stop harassing me. The amnesia drug only lasts a month. It's already been 33 days. Why haven't you remembered me yet? Sophia said, dejected and baffled, then suddenly rallied. It's fine. I've already had the lab work overtime to test the serum. You'll definitely remember me again. Leo couldn't help himself. Is memory the important thing? The point is you cheated. Ethan doesn't love you anymore. Sophia froze, then smiled. He loves me. He just forgot me for now. After saying that she didn't persist, she walked away on her own, probably rushing to have the potion tested. In the days that followed, she always looked for chances to see me. When my calls were blocked, she went to wait outside my company to confront me, asking whether my memory had returned. No matter how sternly I scolded her, she only smiled gently, her tone full of hope. It's all right, Ethan. You will remember me. We'll have the grandest wedding. Goosebumps all over. Leo and I had arranged to come to my place for hot pot after work. Just as we reached my front door, we saw Sophia sneakingly standing around the corner, her expression inscrutable. Big Sister Taylor, you're way too touchy. What are you doing here again? Leo cursed. Sophia didn't answer. She stepped forward slowly, staring at me without blinking, her face cold, no longer showing the warmth and expectation of a few days ago. Her tone was hard and disappointed. Ethan Johnson, are you joking with me? You've already recovered your memory, haven't you? Instead, you pretended to have amnesia to fool me. Do you know how terrified I've been these past few days? I was afraid you really had forgotten me. I was afraid your future didn't include me. Watching me fall apart and panic. Are you proud of that? Her sudden accusation enraged me. Had she ever cared about my feelings? Yet she expected me to spare hers? I couldn't stand it and slapped her across the face. You're a stranger, understand? I never worry about a stranger's feelings. Besides, on what basis do you think I don't have amnesia? Sophia clutched her face and held the vial up in front of me. After 2 weeks of tests, there's nothing wrong with either the amnesia serum or the memory-restoring potion. You can't possibly have forgotten me. You clearly recovered your memory, but are toying with my feelings. You know I don't like that kind of joke. I laughed in furious disbelief. She was the one having an affair and holding a wedding with someone else. So who was playing with whose feelings? Get out. I shoved her. She staggered 2 steps and crashed hard to the floor, then scrambled up and grabbed the doorknob to keep me from entering, her finger pinched by the door and bleeding. I didn't want to get entangled with her, so I called the police. Because of the previous report, the officers responded quickly and headed straight toward me. When she saw I had called the police, Sophia's voice trembled, as if she couldn't believe I could be so heartless. Is it because I went to accompany my brother with cancer through his last month of life? Is that really necessary? Leo couldn't stand it any longer. Brother? You mean your lover? He pulled out his phone and flipped through the chat logs between me and him, thrusting them in Sophia's face. There were one photo after another of Daniel and Sophia looking happy together, photos I had previously sent to Leo. Sophia saw the pictures and her face changed drastically. Leo didn't let her off. This is your brother? What kind of siblings sleep in the same bed? Is he really a brother? Leo mercilessly exposed Sophia's lies. She fell silent, and her sharp demeanor softened. After a long while, her tone became gentle. Ethan, I'm sorry. Daniel and I grew up together. His parents entrusted him to me on their deathbeds. He lost his parents and has cancer. No matter what, I couldn't refuse his wish. She looked at me with deep affection, eyes full of apology and sincerity. I was wrong. I swear I won't see him again until his funeral. Don't say you don't know me anymore. My heart really hurts. How touching. If this were a TV drama, I would have already used up half a box of tissues, but unfortunately I'm a character in the story. I told her coldly, Miss Taylor, I'm saying this for the last time. It's impossible. If you keep harassing me, I'll file for a restraining order. I issued the final ultimatum. Sophia looked wounded. She raised the reagent kit again, tears welling at the corners of her eyes, but not falling. The Federation's top team tested it over 1,000 times. The reagent wasn't wrong. You're just trying to spite me. I roll my eyes and dial the police again. Officer, could you come one more time? She saw my annoyance, sighed, and said, Ethan, I can leave, but I will do everything I can to prove my love for you. I won't give up. With that, she finally turned and walked away. Leo watched her retreating figure and couldn't help saying, such an act. Then he spat. I was amused. No, no, no. Don't lose your manners over a woman like that. A couple of days later after work, a G-Wagon was parked at the school gate. Sophia wore a red evening dress, her long legs leaning against the car door, full of springtime vitality. The trunk was wide open, filled with calla lilies, drawing a crowd. My heart trembled. I had to admit, Sophia was stunning. From outward appearances alone, she was one in a million. Unfortunately, everything she did disgusted me. Ethan, she picked up a bunch of calla lilies and walked toward me. Do you remember? The first time we dated, we saw a sea of calla lilies, and you said you liked calla lilies. She smiled brightly, and something in her eyes and brows gave me a strange sense of familiarity, as if years ago a young girl had once held a large bouquet of calla lilies and smiled at me without reservation. I was briefly dazed before snapping back to reality. Isn't she insulting the calla lilies? The language of the calla lily is unwavering love, and she pairs that with this? I said helplessly, Sophia, just pretend I'm acting. Can you let me go? Whether my amnesia is real or fake, I don't love you anymore. When you walked toward me holding those flowers, my stomach nearly cramped. I felt sick, like I was going to vomit. You're a neurologist and must know some psychology. Have you heard of physiological liking? When someone likes another person, they unconsciously want physical contact, want to get close, but when I see you, I want to run away. For you, I feel only physiological revulsion. Her face showed utter disbelief, her eyes reddening, even looking a little unhinged. Impossible. You said you loved me. She couldn't accept me telling her so bluntly that I loathed her and lost control, bursting into tears. I turned and left, warning her again not to follow me. This time she didn't argue, only silently followed me home. When I closed the door, she didn't try to force her way in, instead stubbornly standing on the doorstep, wordless, as if waiting for my forgiveness. The sky was darkening and the wind had picked up. She was still standing at my door like a doorkeeper. Through the window, I saw her body sway slightly. I was a bit startled, as if in the past there had also been someone waiting downstairs for me. Leo called to invite me for drinks. I hesitated and turned him down because Sophia was standing downstairs at the moment, and I was afraid I'd be pestered if I went down. But after I explained the situation to Leo, he merely scoffed and sneered. That trick again. The old doorkeeper. Don't you remember? She's been on duty for 20 years. I silently said nothing. Of course I remembered. She and I were senior and junior at university. When she first pursued me, I didn't accept, but I wasn't opposed and gave her a chance. Every time she walked me back to the dorm after finishing experiments, she'd stand at the base of the dormitory and watch me go up. If I casually mentioned some new gadget in the lab, she would be the first to get it, then stand under my dorm, dazedly waiting, and then give me a surprise. The day we confessed our feelings, she arranged her own EEG into the shape of a heart under my dormitory. At that time, her eyes shone as she looked at me, full of love. But her habit of standing downstairs waiting for you wasn't only for those happy times. That's right. We had once fought about Daniel sending messages to Sophia. In a fit of anger, I broke up with her. After she blocked Daniel, she stood at my door all night. At the time, I was moved, thinking it was some kind of fairy tale love. Leo sighed. I said nothing, closed the curtains, out of sight, out of mind. In the middle of the night, a thunderclap jolted me awake. I threw back the curtains and saw Sophia's stubborn, upright figure swaying in the rain. The next moment, she collapsed into the downpour, sending water splashing everywhere. I immediately grabbed my phone to call an ambulance, afraid she'd die at my door and bring bad luck. Just as I opened the door, a thin but agile young man dashed forward anxiously. He scooped Sophia up, crying and shaking her. Sophia, do you love him that much? Why won't you look back at me? If I'd known you love him this much, I never would have let you help me make my dream come true. I have to say, don't be fooled by how pale he looked. He had surprising strength. Even fainted, Sophia was jolted awake by his shaking. Soaking wet and trembling from the cold, she blinked groggily when roused, then snapped fully awake. Daniel, idiot, Ethan Johnson was deliberately toying with you. Does someone so treacherous really deserve your love? Daniel sobbed. Sophia's suffering made him unbearably pained. His eyes glared at me fiercely. Storm, roaring, amnesia, cancer, all the elements in place. I looked down at my watch. 3 a.m. This is my cue to star in a Korean drama. It's really late. If you want to be lovey-dovey, please don't disturb my sleep on my doorstep. Okay. Daniel glared at me coldly. Sophia is like this, and the only thing on your mind is sleep. You don't love her at all. If you loved her, how could you bear to watch her abandon her dignity for you? If you loved her, how could you bear to see her faint in the heavy rain? If you loved her, how could you continue to pretend to have amnesia and torment her like this? Insane, and using parallelism too. I was speechless, a perfect match of crazies. Sophia fell silent too. After a long while, she struggled to her feet and stood in front of me, staring straight at me, then suddenly knelt down, crawled 2 steps on her knees, and grabbed the hem of my clothes. Ethan, have you really forgotten me? Really, not even a little, not even a tiny bit. I looked down at the woman kneeling before me. Her eyes held pain and hope with a hint of pleading. I really don't remember. I helplessly repeated the words, I don't know how many times. Please don't lie to me. She looked disheveled, mud smearing her cheeks. I'm really not lying to you. Fine. A drop of bright red blood and tears slid from the corner of her eye. Fine. Then she stood up, turned her back to me, her voice hoarse and exhausted. Ethan, I'm tired. Lately I've been expressing my apologies and sincerity to you, but you've turned a blind eye. The memory loss potion's effective period has long passed. Yet without regard for my difficulties and embarrassment, you irrationally vented your dissatisfaction at me and trampled on my dignity. Playing with me. Is that fun? You truly chill me to the bone. After she spoke, Daniel helped her away. I opened my mouth. No, sister, you're bleeding tears. Are you really okay? Also, I can hear an ambulance coming. Pay the fee before you leave. Sophia finally disappeared. After the last incident, she never showed up again. I also prepared to pack my things and go teach in Yundun. When Leo helped me pack, he suddenly remembered, by the way, did you know that that guy who pretends to be sick is faking it? He doesn't have cancer at all. Daniel had someone forge test reports and diagnosis letters to get Sophia to marry him. Now that fake document ring has been busted, and he's implicated. Is that so? That's fine, as long as it doesn't bother me. Unexpectedly, just as we arrived at the airport, we ran into Sophia. Out of breath, she stopped me and said she wanted to talk to me again. Though slightly winded, she was wearing a professional uniform and was neatly groomed, no longer the mess she had been that day. She seemed to have returned to her previous life. Leo, with a hint of mockery. Sister, blood and tears, here again? Did the pretend sick guy not come? But there was exhaustion deep in her eyes. The look she gave me wavered for a moment, then instantly returned to dead stillness. Daniel isn't sick, she said, head bowed. I nodded. I already knew that. I had my suspicions the day of the heavy rain. I glanced down at my watch irritably. Time was running short. Sophia's eyes brimmed with tears again. They were full of anguish. But Ethan, you'd rather torture me, rather watch me faint in the storm than forgive me. Just because of that 1 month, even if it's you. Her voice choked, and she couldn't go on. Keep talking. I was very calm. She wiped the tears from the corners of her eyes and took a deep breath. Even if you were to tell me straight out that you are unwilling to forgive me, I would accept it, but you insist on pretending to have amnesia. Yet you torture me, making me recall again and again that I was the one who forced the potion down your throat, that I was the one who buried my own happiness. Really, you can't marry me again? I shook my head, my tone firm. Miss Taylor, I won't marry a stranger. Sophia listened in disbelief and looked at me. Suddenly her phone rang, and a man's voice came from the other end. Professor Taylor, the latest findings. The potion's effect isn't 100%. It's effective, but its potency is influenced by the subject's emotions. What did you say? Sophia's voice began to tremble. We referenced cutting-edge research and found that if the emotion tied to a subject's intentional forgetting is very strong, then even after the forgetfulness potion's effect wears off, the subject cannot recall the related content, and taking the recovery potion is useless. This kind of forgetting is irreversible. Doctor, we are the first to discover this. It's worth another paper in Science. Hello. Whatever the other side said next, Sophia no longer listened. She only heard that this kind of forgetting is irreversible. Irreversible. Sophia. I spoke. The human body is amazing. When someone suffers a massive trauma, the brain activates a protective mechanism to shield them, causing them to permanently forget certain things. Psychological defense mechanism, Freud's theory. You should be very familiar with it. My brain chose to help me forget that enormous pain when I suffered it, so I could go on living. Sophia stood there dazed. She seemed to realize that I wasn't pretending to have amnesia. I had completely forgotten her, or rather, I was unwilling to remember her. The moment she swallowed that vial of medicine, the outcome between us had already been decided. I finally turned and strode away as well. Only that when I turned, tears poured down like rain. But I had a feeling this was the last time. I heard Sophia faint behind me, the gasps of passers-by, the clamor of people trying to help. None of it had anything to do with me anymore. I had broken free from everything of the past. Those things that had made my heart ache until I could hardly breathe were over. I was heading toward a future without her. Goodbye. Months later, Leo came to Yundan to visit me, bringing earth-shattering news. Daniel really did have cancer, and the funeral had already been held. So you still shouldn't speak recklessly. What if it comes true? Leo lamented, and I agreed wholeheartedly. The last time I saw Sophia was at the entrance of Yundan University. As soon as I walked out the gate, I spotted her. She had changed a lot. She looked somewhat aged, even though she wasn't old, and she dressed neatly and fashionably, but exhaustion and despair radiated from her every pore. She and I locked eyes, no escape. She tugged at the corner of her mouth as if to force a smile, but it barely moved and no smile came. Long time no see. I greeted her calmly. Miss Taylor, I have something to attend to. I'll be going now. Sophia blocked my way, on the verge of speaking then stopping, finally whispering, Ethan, I missed you so much. I showed no emotion at all. She stared at me blankly. I'm sorry. Back then, it must have hurt a lot, right? I pressed my lips together and said nothing. She slowly took a familiar vial out of her pocket, closed her eyes, and shoved the cold tube into her mouth. I understood at once. This was for the best. She probably wouldn't come to bother me again. Soon the drug took a violent effect. Her face flushed crimson, veins bulging in her neck. She clutched her throat in pain and made choking breaths. She staggered, fell to her knees, and crawled on the ground, the vial shattering with a loud bang, glass scattering everywhere. She knelt pale and began to retch uncontrollably, the exposed skin cut and bleeding from the glass. The stomach is an organ of emotion. When someone grieves too much, they instinctively want to vomit. Back then, on my own sofa at home, I must have been just as miserable as she was. I looked down at her and asked, Call 120? Sophia looked up, her face deathly pale as she forced a smile. Ethan, why haven't I forgotten you? I was speechless. She murmured to herself. I thought experimental data was the ultimate truth, but I forgot that the human heart matters most. A groom betrayed by the one he loves feels nothing greater than a death of the heart. So he chose to forget. As for me, the lying bride, I regret it. I think of you, I love you, yet I can't forget. She was right to think that, but she didn't know how deeply I loved her the moment I forced that potion into her. She didn't know that when I learned of her affair, my heart turned to ashes. She didn't know that I never stopped remembering her, and she would never know. Seeing Sophia in such a miserable state did not make me feel relieved. I sighed slowly. Miss Taylor, eat well, live well. With it, I turned and left, not looking back. From the very beginning, there was no turning back.